I have been crying about this. I wanted to talk about neurodiversity, and I'm going to use one of my interests, which is one of my favorite anime, Hunter x Hunter. And I guess just I'm kind of in the mourning process of I guess things that I now know I can't really change. Can't really change about myself. And it's part of the wiring of how I am. And everybody says there's a mourning process, and I was that's not gonna happen to me. And I'm currently in that of mourning the things I can't change. And it does come with allowing myself acceptance, but it's a lot. So getting into the nerdy part, so I'm working through my own self-acceptance, but it does come with the realization that I can accept myself, but it doesn't mean the external world will. And a lot of the time this happens with people you're close with. Okay, and so this is where my interest of Hunter x Hunter comes in, and I can never just have a normal analogy. If you haven't seen Hunter x Hunter, I'm going to preface this with, this probably will contain a spoiler, but Kilowa's little sister Alika basically has two sides to her. The side that would be deemed more normal, and then the side that is it's kind of looked at as evil, but grants people's wishes, but then bad things happen to people if those wishes do get granted. So it creates a big fear, and so Killua makes a wish to his sister to get rid of the evil one completely, and he's I'm gonna save my little sister from the bad one. So they banish her away. So the good Alika comes back, and he's what did you say to her? She's in the corner crying, and Kilua's I'm doing this for you, I'm helping you, I'm getting rid of your bad parts. She's bawling her eyes out, she is a part of me. If you don't like her, you don't like me, and that scene is kind of how it feels, to realize parts of your wiring is just how you are. It really makes me think of times where people have, it's not their intentions, but have made me feel bad for those aspects about myself, which are also the parts of me that they really love. So without those bad sides of me, they wouldn't get the good sides too. One of those things is with overthinking. I get so many people make me feel bad for overthinking, and it's not even something I want to do, but at the same time, it's what allows for me to have so many good qualities about myself. I'm a very creative person. I'm so creative because of the overthinking, because I'm what if this? What if we do this? What if, I have a million things I'm thinking of. It also makes me, I can be way sillier because of it, because I'm oh, it would be funny if this, it would be funny if that. But then when it comes to other topics, I feel almost Killua, how they're can't you get rid of that? But if I got rid of that, it would be getting rid of the other parts that people love about me. And so I'm going through the mourning process of accepting that, and then of course there are some parts rumination and stuff that I can better learn how to handle, and I'm working through. But then there are just parts of me that I realize that's my wiring, and it kind of makes me feel sad that I feel so many times people I cared about have made me feel bad about that. It's also the parts of me that they really like as well. I can honestly say I'm so creative because of it, because I'm constantly wanting to learn about things. I'm constantly questioning things, but that is overthinking. All of that is part of overthinking. And so I'm working on the rumination part, and but there's also times of I won't turn away from confrontation if I feel something needs to be talked about. That's another thing of you like how straightforward I am. You like that I just say what I feel is necessary at the time, and you don't have to question what I'm saying. I'm going to say exactly what I'm trying to say. There's no additional context through it. But then when it comes to confrontation, not liking that aspect about me, and why can't you just drop it? When I wouldn't talk about these things if I didn't find it important. And I recently lost really close friends of mine because of it, because I had brought up sexist things that they aren't sexist guys, but the things that they were doing they can work on, and I ended up losing friends because of that. And it's something that does really hurt, because whenever somebody makes me feel bad about those qualities, I've internalized it. And so you can't really appreciate the good parts about that when you're constantly being picked at for the bad parts. Yeah, and so now I'm trying to work through accepting that within myself, because like, how can I expect other people to accept it when I'm struggling with it? When I know, like, even for myself, I'm struggling with it because of societal judgment, I guess, of like constantly telling me like that's wrong and that's how I shouldn't be, especially by people that I know aren't meaning to hurt me with it because they think it's helping me. But it kind of goes back to like Hilua and his little sister of like getting rid of like the bad things and like, look, you're normal now. And it's like, you've gotten rid of everything. Like, that's still part of me. And so like, especially like with losing friends and stuff like that, like, this isn't me trying to talk shit on the people that like I'm no longer friends with. I have so much love for those people still. We're just on different paths now, but that does like really affect me. And I don't want to be scared of like being myself around people I care about. And so I'm really grateful for like the friendships that I do have, where I had a friend where she unintentionally hurt my feelings. And so I just brought up to her like, hey, I know you didn't mean it in this way, but this did hurt my feelings. And like, she just immediately was like, I didn't mean it in that way. Like, I'm sorry, I love you. And like, was just understanding of it. And like, knowing that I wouldn't bring it up if I didn't care and if I didn't want to have like this friendship like still be important in my life. Like, I would just ignore it, you know? I've already gone through like a million thoughts of like, oh, should I talk about this? Should I not? Like, how can I present this? So like, to not sound harsh, like I want it to sound like the friendliest as possible. So like, every time I do have friends that like I do bring like confrontation where I'm personally just seeking resolution, they know that and know my intentions are like that. And like, that brings better acceptance for myself when I see it in my outside world. It also means that I have to be so conscious of like the people that I do allow into my life who are going to reaffirm that I'm okay how I am. Of course, I'm working on like rumination and stuff, but like, I didn't realize like how heavy mourning the person I will never become. That's okay. Thinking a lot is kind of part of my brain wiring, but it's also the part that makes me and like makes me creative and makes me silly and makes me all these things, and like accepting the parts of myself that I can't control. And so in a way, you have to like mourn your past and like past experiences, but also mourning the future for like the things that you thought you'd be able to change and you just are not able to. But then with that, it comes acceptance and learning ways to better deal with the things you can control. And I've said this multiple times, but like rumination, because that's one that like I struggle with so much. But I'm like slowly getting there, but like, damn, I had no clue how bad like the mourning process would be. And then on top of that, like how important like community and like friendships, or having to cut ties with friends, how much that would hurt. A lot of the time, whenever like that stuff happens too, you just feel so misunderstood and makes you feel so isolated from the world of like, you feel like you're the problem. Why can't I ever communicate the way like I feel like I'm supposed to communicate? And it always feels like you're trying to meet people. I'm always working harder to understand the person, and it doesn't ever feel reciprocated. And like, I never could put words to it, but like now I understand why. It's like, I feel like that is because like I'm constantly trying to check any additional context that I may be missing, or that somebody else may be adding to mine where I'm not adding any context and stuff like that. And like, I'm trying so hard to give understanding to other people that when it's easy for, I'm so public about the things that I'm working on, sometimes people will then cast blame onto those things that I so publicly talk about, like, oh yeah, my trauma. And so like, it'll be like, oh, you're just having a trauma response or something like that. And like, it just really, really kicks me down when it's people I care about and who are supposed to care about me. That's like currently what I'm working through, and like mourning that. And like, I swear, I did not think I would have like a mourning process, but I'm currently going through that mourning. But it's also coming with acceptance, but like right now it's like, kind of hurts. But yeah, I love Hunter x Hunter. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's so good.